Okay guys, so Garmin launched the R50 and it was all over social media immediately. I have to say it was quite the product launch that I did not see coming. It seems like it was all launched maybe through Play Better, because I think that all of the influencers and whatnot that somehow had videos ready to go when the embargo date hit, they all, I think, are affiliated with Play Better. They seem to have done a really good job launching this thing, but me over here, I had no idea it was coming. I've never touched one, just finding out about it when you did. As I'm trying to watch some of the videos and read through all the comments, trying to gather my thoughts on what I think about this R50, figured I'd turn on the camera and kind of give you my first initial reactions to what I'm seeing with this launch monitor, because I'm trying to decide for myself, should I buy one to cover and use on this channel, or should I sit back and see what happens? So here are my thoughts on the R50. First off, when you look at this new launch monitor, I think the big innovative thing about it is that it's supposed to be all-in-one. So instead of just a touchscreen that displays numbers for your ball and club data, it's got a color touchscreen that actually will show you your simulator course or whatever app you're playing on the screen itself of the launch monitor. So kind of a wild thought. No one else in the market has that. Kind of impressive when you first think about it. As I'm kind of looking at it, I see people are saying, hey, this eliminates the need to have a gaming PC. It is all in one. You don't need that gaming PC. From all of the people that I've talked to in comments and by email and all that, the gaming PC is one of the things that people have the toughest time getting over. They want to build a golf simulator, but they don't want to buy a computer because it is expensive. You're going to spend somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 on a brand new gaming PC, depending on if you want to run it in 1080p or 4K. It is an extra expense, just like everything with golf simulators. A lot of people already have a computer, but it doesn't have the GPU required. And so people just get really hung up on buying a gaming PC for a golf simulator. And I thought, hey, if this includes it and it really is all-in-one, you don't need that, that is kind of a big deal. But the more I thought about it and the more I looked into it, I finally found some videos that did confirm Garmin's Home T Hero works all-in-one on the launch monitor. But if you want to connect to the third-party simulation software like they're advertising, which would be E6 Connect, E6 Apex, Awesome Golf, or GCQuad, if you want to connect to any of that third-party software, you're going to need an extra gaming PC anyways, because that is not going to run on the whatever device that's built in to the Garmin R50. Let's Play Through, the review channel, did kind of confirm this in a video where he said you are going to need a gaming PC if you want to run GCQuad. Going back to the thought that it's all in one, I guess not really. I'm also hearing that it's essentially an Android tablet that is built into the Garmin R50. And of course, that's not gonna have the GPU and computing power that most real golf simulation software requires, like GCQuad. And so far I haven't mentioned the price, but I should go ahead and get that out of the way now. You probably already know it's $4,999. And you could kind of swallow that price if the gaming PC was built in and you truly didn't need one to run GCQuad, but you're actually gonna have to buy that on top of that $5,000 price tag. So that kind of really turned me off as soon as I found out about that. And I don't really know that I care too much about the built-in device, especially with that $5,000 price tag. Then also I'm seeing some comments about having that device built in that they're not going to want to bend down and touch the touchscreen after every shot to pick their aiming point or change clubs or whatnot. That's stuff that you would typically do on your gaming PC with a keyboard and mouse, or even if you're not doing that, you're just running some other app, you probably have a tablet of some sort or your phone that you can put in a stand at eye level or just lean on a counter and pick up and use. Since this thing is on the ground, you're gonna be bending over every time you want to interact with the software. I can kind of imagine that that would get old pretty quickly. So there may be a point there too. So is having it all in one a strength or a weakness? We'll see. Now, on the plus side with that third-party software, it does not look like there is a subscription required from Garmin to connect to third-party software like we see so many other launch monitor companies requiring. Obviously, there is a subscription option to use Home T Hero. I think I saw $9.99 a month or $99 a year, but I have not seen anywhere that that is a requirement to connect to third-party software like GS Pro. So definitely a plus if that is the case. If the all-in-one factor isn't really the big selling point that I initially thought it might be, what are we left with? Let's look at the launch monitor itself and some of the specs on that. First thing that I noticed was that obviously it's photometric, which means it uses cameras to watch the impact of the golf club and the golf ball, and you can determine everything about the golf shot from impact. This actually has 3 cameras, which was impressive because the only other launch monitor that has 3 cameras is the Bushnell Launch Pro / the Foresight GC3, which is, in my opinion, up there as the gold standard of indoor launch monitors, right there with the big brother, which is the real gold standard, which is the GCQuad that uses 4 cameras. Everything else, including the Uneekor Eye Mini, Eye Mini Lite, SkyTrack, all these other photometric launch monitors that sit to the side, they all use 2 cameras. So I am impressed right out of the gate that the R50 is using 3 cameras. That makes me feel pretty optimistic about the accuracy of the launch monitor itself. The other thing I noticed was that it does have its own barometer built into the launch monitor. That's something that you also see with Foresight launch monitors. And what that does is read the air pressure so it can kind of determine your elevation and give you better accuracy depending on where you are in the world. Me, I'm close to sea level, but if I took it to Colorado with me and just turned it on, it should already know that I'm at a higher elevation and factor that into the data that it's giving me. That's definitely a big plus. It seems like they did not go cheap on the internal hardware of this launch monitor, which is nice. Another feature that was nice to see was that they actually give you the impact video replay, just like you see with the Uneekor launch monitors. That gives you a slow motion replay of your club hitting the golf ball, and it's really helpful to kind of see what you probably felt. Was it a little on the toe, on the heel? You don't have face impact location data, but you do have that picture, so you can confirm with video where the ball was hit on the club. But I also find that that feature, whether it's on the Garmin R50 or another launch monitor, specifically the Eye Mini or Eye Mini Lite, because it's on that side angle, it's helpful to determine the low point, which is something that you only see usually with radar launch monitors. That is the lowest point in the arc of the swing, and hopefully that is ahead of the golf ball after you hit it, not behind it. That would be hitting it fat. And so although you don't get a number, you can kind of confirm with video the low point of your golf swing. So really nice to see that that was included with this launch monitor. And at this point, I'm wondering like, hey, Foresight, what are you doing? Everybody has this. You would think that you guys, being the leaders in photometric launch monitors, have the capability to just give us that video replay, but so far still nothing. Anyways, good to see it from the Garmin R50. Now, to get club data out of the Garmin R50, it looks like you do need a single reflective sticker at the top center of the club, which is nice. That's kind of the same thing that you need from a Foresight or Bushnell launch monitor. But the one thing that leaves me a little bit skeptical is that in the club data, they do provide face angle data, which would give you basically face angle to target or face angle to your club path. And that is something that the Uneekor Eye Mini, Eye Mini Lite, Bushnell Launch Pro, Foresight GC3 cannot provide with a single sticker. If you look at the top tier Uneekor launch monitors like the IXO or the Foresight GCQuad, all of those have more than one sticker, which you would think you would need to determine the plane, because if you only have one sticker, there is nothing that you can, I guess, determine the angle of the plane of the club face. Although that they are advertising that all the club data is measured, not calculated, I'm really curious as to how they are measuring the face angle with only one sticker. I guess time will tell if that ends up being one of the calculated datas or pieces of data even though I guess we don't know yet. Obviously, not everything can be measured, especially with ball data like carry distance, because nothing is actually measuring the golf ball outside of the impact area. So of course, some things have to be calculated. Now, another thing to mention about the Garmin R50 is that they did make the decision to make it portable. So you can take it to the golf course with you, to the driving range. It's got an internal battery and it will function out there just like it will indoors as a simulator. And actually having that built-in screen at the driving range using Home T Hero or some other app that will work with it all in one, that actually is pretty interesting, and that I think can definitely set it apart if you plan to take it with you to the golf course. But, and this is kind of a big but to me at least, I just feel like nobody, at least amateur golfers, don't really take their launch monitors to the driving range. I think we're all buying these for home simulators, and you see with the success of the Eye Mini Lite, people did not need the portability and they would much rather have a much cheaper launch monitor that they can use exclusively at home than having the extra portability for thousands more. I think at this point, it's kind of odd that almost all launch monitors are built portable and not the other way around. I think the market may be telling these companies, hey, make these things a whole lot cheaper and ditch the portability. Of course, I have no sales data or anything to go by. This is just kind of my instinct, and I'd be curious to see from some of these companies if they're hearing that too from the market. Anyways, the Garmin R50 is portable, but if you've watched any of the reviews of people that actually have it, that thing looks gigantic. I've heard that it is actually 3 times the size of a GCQuad, and the GCQuad is already pretty big. I mean, 3 times the size, you might as well just leave it in place. So with it being that big, I'm kind of surprised that they didn't just ditch the battery and make it hardwired in, you know, to power and computer. Okay, so obviously I've never used one. I don't have one. I can't answer all these questions, but the question is, will this thing be a good buy at the $5,000 price tag, $4,999? To me, if the all-in-one factor is not really there, if you have to buy a gaming PC to use a third-party software like GCPRO, then I'm not sure that it is a good buy at $5,000 because you're going to be spending another $1,000 to $2,000 on top of that for the gaming PC. So if you did that in reverse and say take $1,000 to $2,000 off of the price tag of the Garmin R50, then you've got $3,000 or $4,000 for the launch monitor. Well, you can buy an Eye Mini Lite for less than $3,000 and still spend $1,000 or $2,000 on a gaming PC for GCPRO, and you're still kind of ahead of the game. Then the question is, if it's not like a compelling selling point to have it all in one, because you're gonna have to buy a gaming PC anyways, question is the launch monitor itself good enough to spend $5,000 on? And then I'd ask, well, if you're not going to buy a gaming PC, another option is the SkyTrack Plus. Although the SkyTrack Plus doesn't have anything built into it to where you can use it, it is the most compatible launch monitor on the market. I mean, you can use it on an iOS device like an iPad, you can use it on Android, you can use it on a gaming PC, and you can use it now on Mac OS. So pretty much everybody has one of those devices already, which means you're not gonna have to buy anything else. And then you're looking at a SkyTrack Plus that's under $3,000. I don't know what it is at the moment, but I've seen it mostly at about $2,700. And so $2,700 and then using a device that you already have. So is the Garmin R50 worth paying double for comparing to a SkyTrack Plus? I will say the SkyTrack Plus, it does seem like a lot of the club data is calculated and not measured. If the Garmin R50 is super accurate and measuring all of this data, it's really reliable, consistent, quality club data, maybe it is worth $5,000 as a launch monitor. Then compare it to the Bushnell Launch Pro or the Foresight GC3, which are essentially the same hardware, just sold at different prices. That's a little bit more of an apples to apples comparison. So if you look at the GC3, you're gonna be spending about $7,000. Is the Garmin R50, can that compete with it at $5,000? We'll have to see. I can't speak to the accuracy of it because I don't have one. And so that's really the question. It seems like they did spend some money on the internal hardware using 3 cameras instead of 2, a built-in barometer. That makes me pretty optimistic that it's a high quality launch monitor. But I think a lot of the hype in the first day or two of its release has been around it being an all-in-one device. And I'm not convinced that that's as big of a selling feature as a lot of people might think it is. So I don't know. The question is still up there. I'm trying to decide, is this a launch monitor that is going to be super popular that I should buy with my own money to review and include with content on my channel like I normally do? Or should I sit this one out? I'd love to know what you guys think, what your reaction was. Leave me a comment down below, and time will tell, right? We'll see. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next video. Thanks, guys.